It's your boy Amreezy, and welcome to another This Week on StocksFC for the week commencing May the 6th, 2024. It's May already. The end of the European season is approaching, the end of the Premier League season is approaching, and I've been documenting my journey in StocksFC and telling you about the game, what's happening. As usual, we're going to be looking at last weekend. We've got a team of the month to explore this week. Then I'm going to be showing you any new stocks that I've been buying since last week. And then I'm going to preview the weekend coming and what that means for StocksFC. So get comfortable, make a cup of tea. If you've not got a cup of tea, pause the video, go make a cup of tea. While the video's paused, maybe give the channel a like and a subscribe. Help me out. Help StocksFC grow as a game, as a community. Share the love, people. On pause with your cup of tea. And let's get cracking this week by taking a look at last weekend's action on StocksFC. So here's the team of the week for the weekend just gone, and the number one scorer this weekend, it's a surprise to me and it's a delight to me as a Chelsea fan, but it was Nicholas Jackson coming in, beating the 100 mark, coming in at an impressive 114 points. He had a lovely weekend, and I'm surprised as any other Chelsea fan to see it happening, that Chelsea might start slowly be picking up a bit of form. Usually this season, every time Chelsea have had a little glimmer of form, we've had a bad result afterwards and it's been terrible. But this is now 2 games in a row and a little bit of a European finish possibly building for Chelsea. So very good for Jackson. His IPO came a few weeks ago and I was so demoralized about Chelsea at the time. I didn't get any stocks. I should have, but he's having a great time. The only concern with Jackson, and that's that I'm not looking at buying any stocks right now, is I think I'm going to wait till next season with him, because Chelsea could sign a striker and then that could massively impact his minutes. So he's a good player, a good stock for the last 3 games of the season that are coming. But beyond that, he's got no international competition in the summer. He could have competition for his place next season at Chelsea. So I think if you got his IPOs and you enjoy him for the end of the season, you're having a great time. So he was number one. The second highest scoring player in the team of the week was Callum Hudson-Odoi, a former Chelsea player who had an IPO the week just gone. So last week, you could have got some IPO stocks of Callum Hudson-Odoi at a nice cheap price, and he's already given you in-player rewards, team of the week, and it looks good for Nottingham Forest in terms of them possibly staying in the Premier League now. The way the results went at the weekend, possibly Nottingham Forest maybe surviving now. It's not done and dusted yet. However, if you've got the likes of Nico Williams, Hudson-Odoi, a few other Nottingham Forest stocks like Gibbs White, there was always the risk that you're getting these stocks and if they get relegated, you're not going to be able to earn on them next season. However, future's looking bright for Nottingham Forest stocks. So Hudson-Odoi was number 2. In at number 3 was Elise with 83 points. So, I mean, I talked about him 2 weeks ago when Crystal Palace started picking up a bit of form, and I said Eze and Elise, they're the guys you want to target. Both doing well for Palace. Both look like good players and both rumored to be leaving in the summer. So, Elise is an interesting pick. Number 4 was Declan Rice, one of my recent additions. So I was delighted to see him. I got his in-play rewards. I got his team of the week rewards, payouts. So delighted with Declan Rice coming in at number 4. And number 5 was a player I got last week, Guimaraes at Newcastle, in the team of the week this week. With that price dip I talked about last week, with all that speculation that Guimaraes might leave Newcastle, so his price dipped. I capitalized on that. You should have too, although this is not financial advice. This is just ramblings of a football fanatic obsessed with football. But I saw an opportunity last week with Guimaraes because his price dipped with all the speculation he might leave. Paris were interested in him. Manchester clubs were interested in him. But I saw that as a good opportunity. Now he's in team of the week. Gave me some in-play rewards as well. So he was a really good stock to have picked up last week. And he's also got Copa America coming in the summer. He should be a key player for the Brazil team. So yeah, they're your top 5 scorers in the team of the week. With it being the beginning of a new month, we did also get shown the team of the month. So we have more payouts from team of the month. And these are the players that made team of the month. You've got Diaz, Isaac, and Watkins up front. I own Isaac and Watkins, so I was happy with that. Diaz is a player that I've talked about for a while now. If you're not wanting to go for Salah, but you're wanting to go for a Liverpool stock to cover their kind of title push. And although they've kind of slipped away from the title race a little bit, Diaz is still a good option, and Liverpool still, you know, a good option. They're going to want to give Klopp a good send-off. They're going to want to not have their season end in disgrace, I think. So Diaz, a good option still for the remaining games of the season. Then in midfield, team of the month, Fernandes, Foden, De Bruyne, Havertz. Havertz a little bit of a surprise. I don't know if I would have seen that, you know, a month ago. I don't think I would have predicted that. But the other three players, I've got Foden and Fernandes, and you know, I do reveal my portfolio in these week videos, show you the players I bought. I did add a few Kevin De Bruyne's, not in time for the team of the month. I got him after the team of the month. I'll show you later why. We'll take a look at his price graph and why I went for Kevin De Bruyne. But I did have Fernandes and Foden getting payouts here, and in defense I had White, who has been a good pick for me. He's made a few team of the weeks, a team of the month now. Robertson and Gabriel with the other two. And then Pickford in goal. Everton have had a glorious couple of game weeks. They have just gone up and up and up. Tarkovsky's been scoring well in StocksFC. So has Pickford. He's made the team of the month. He's helped that the only serious competition for him has been Onana. In past team of the months, it seems to have been Pickford and Onana, and Onana's had a really bad month. So Pickford having a good month at the same time as Onana having a bad one was good timing. If you own Pickford and you've still got the Euros with England, where he'll be the England #1 goalkeeper in the Euros. So if you've got Pickford, he's a great hold at the moment. So that was the team of the month. That was the team of the week. We always like to end the weekly roundup by looking at which stock I told you about last week in my kind of week preview. I usually pick a stock that's kind of a stock that's like, if you want a short-term pick, consider this player. And then we have a look at how they did the following week. So the one I picked last week was Morgan Gibbs-White, because Nottingham Forest had a really good fixture. And I was kind of thinking I think it was Sheffield United they were playing. They had a really good fixture. They're battling for survival. They ended up winning. And Gibbs-White's price was doing this last week. It was crashing. And I was saying, you know, it's interesting that, you know, his price is coming down now when they've got such a good fixture. But I think it was a combination of people losing trust with him, people who bought him at this period where he was kind of at this kind of steady price. People who bought him here were getting frustrated. There's also the possibility Forest might get relegated, so I can understand why they started to sell. I was saying last week, this is where you want to kind of come in. So this is where his price closed. There was a kind of mini flat thing. This is May the 1st, which was a week ago exactly. This was where his price was. He didn't do amazing against Sheffield United, but if you'd have bought him possibly a bit lower than here, because this is where his price kind of closed at the end of the day, there will have been opportunities below this that you could have come in at. And it has now gone a little bit up. This week, we're seeing his price going up. So if you'd have bought a few stocks nice and low here, you've already got a little bit of an uptrend here. And I think with Nottingham Forest, if they just have one more good result, then that's kind of security that they're going to be in StocksFC next season, that they're not going to get relegated, will mean Nottingham Forest players like Chris Wood, Gibbs-White will go up. They should go up with confidence. And this is kind of where Gibbs-White has already established he can hold his price. So I think while it's only been a little bit of an increase in price, if you wanted to sell now, you could cash out and make a small profit. I think if Forest, if you hold on another week with him, possibly the confidence in him goes up. Because if you're thinking, you know, okay, Nottingham Forest are going to stay in the Premier League, once that's confirmed, players are going to be looking at, traders are going to be looking at which of the Nottingham Forest stocks that you want next season. And Gibbs-White's the most creative midfielder, high potential, still young, could always move in the future. So he's one that I think could still go up. So I think it was a good prediction from me to say go for Gibbs-White last weekend when he was crashing. And we are seeing signs that he could be recovering now. So that was my pick from last week. I'll show you my pick this week from this week's fixtures. But for now, that's last weekend covered. Let's now take a quick look at my portfolio and the stocks that I've bought since last week. Okay, here we go. This is my portfolio on StocksFC. This is how it's looking. You can see here the new stocks that I've bought since last week's video were Akanji and Trossard. I bought 10 stocks in Trossard and 7 in Akanji. They were both on the IPOs last week, so it was a good week for IPOs. I went for these two and not Hudson-Odoi because I think longer term, even though Hudson-Odoi had a good weekend, this weekend, I think longer term, Trossard seems to be, Arteta likes him. He should be a regular within the Arsenal starting 11, or even if he's not in the starting 11, he comes off the bench, gets the occasional goal. So there's plenty of team of the week opportunities for him, I think. Same with Akanji, a regular in the Manchester City defense. So it's my first time covering a Man City defense. So good to have those two for sort of next season in mind as well. They should be good long-term holds in terms of stocks. And the other ones I bought were Kevin De Bruyne. I bought 10 of his stocks. Where is he? There he is. 10 Kevin De Bruyne stocks. And I bought them recently. I bought them after the team of the month announcement. So I kind of was like, I've missed out on Kevin De Bruyne again. Let me take a little look at him. And it turned out, I still think there's an opportunity there with Kevin De Bruyne. I'll talk a little bit later in my stocks for the weekend, my short-term picks for this weekend, why I think Kevin De Bruyne's a good stock in more detail. But yeah, they were the 3 new stocks that I went for. 2 of them in the IPO. In terms of the rest of my stock portfolio, we can see a lot of greens here, some small reds, a little bit of a bigger red on Declan Rice and Mohamed Salah, but I'm kind of waiting for team of the season with them to kind of recoup a little bit of what I bought with them. De Bruyne's still early. Rodri's gone down. So I think a lot of people now are selling players that they think aren't going to make team of the season. I've seen a little bit of activity like that in StocksFC, and a lot of people I think are seeing possibly the potential for the prices to come down once team of the season is announced. So they're kind of cashing out while they've made profit already. So I'm happy with how the portfolio is looking in general. I think what I'm going to start doing is selling a few of these stocks before the summer or during the summer that I think I don't really want next season, and then doubling down on sort of good stocks that I think will be great next season as well. So the likes of Declan Rice, the likes of Foden, these are stocks that I think next season I'm going to want. And I think if the prices possibly come down in the summer, I'm going to be looking to sort of strengthen the stocks that I like for next season. So that's how my portfolio is looking. They're the new additions that I've added. If we look at the IPOs for this week coming, I don't think it's as appealing as last week, but I think there's a few bargains here. I mean, the prices are lower, so you've got a chance for a few more bargains. You've got Scott, who's had a bit of an injury-ridden season with Bournemouth this year. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet at Bournemouth, so he should be a creative player. He was really good in the Championship last season, so he's an interesting pick if you kind of want to cover some of the Bournemouth. They should be good for next season. They're going to be in the Premier League next season. They survived relegation. So I think with Bournemouth, it's all going to be about how they strengthen in the summer. I think Scott's a good young player that if they strengthen well around him, he could be a good player. So it's not the craziest idea to go for Scott. Mateta at Crystal Palace, again, he seems to be scoring a lot lately. Crystal Palace are in good form. What puts me off him is just if Palace signed another striker, how Palace will do next season. If they'll keep, he's doing well in a team with a lot of creative midfielders around him. What puts me off him is that if they lose Eze, if they lose Elise, is he going to get the same kind of service? And are Palace going to be as appealing next season? So that's what puts me off him. However, a very cheap price, the cheapest of this week's IPOs. And I think even for the remainder of the season, he could get you a few returns. And if you want to sort of gamble that those returns boost his stock price and you can sell him early, or hold him and hope that Palace don't sign any other strikers, keep a lot of their attacking midfielders, and he could be a good player for next season. So he's another option that comes with a bit of risk. And then another one is McNeil. I really like Dwight McNeil as a player. I like those kind of players. I like wingers that can cross a ball. They're my favorite types of players. Wingers with a good pass on them. Midfielders that can pass the ball are really exciting for me. What puts me off him is he's down as an attacker, not a midfielder. I think I'd probably have gone for him if he was a midfielder. And he's the stock that I'm most tempted by because Everton seem to be putting some form. They look to be surviving another Premier League season. I think his position should be fairly safe in the team for next season. I just don't like that he's an attacker. If he was a midfielder, I think I'd be more inclined for him, but I'm still tempted by him out of the 3, but I think I won't be going for any of those IPOs this week. So they're the IPOs. I don't think any of them are crazy if you want to go for them, but for me, not this week. Last week I went for 2. This week I don't think I'm going to be going for any. I'm going to be looking at consolidating my existing stocks and adding a few more of those stocks rather than getting new stocks. So that's my portfolio. Those are the IPOs for this week coming. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be going for any of these IPOs. If you think I'm making a mistake overlooking any of them, let me know in the comments. It'll be greatly appreciated. Now let's finish the video by taking a look at the weekend coming and my thoughts regarding stocks for the weekend coming. So with the weekend coming, I've put on screen the fixtures, the 5 fixtures that I think you could target if you're looking for a short-term pick. Now, throughout this series on my StocksFC videos, I have been picking a player who I think this weekend could give you a quick return, and then you could sell them next week or keep them for various reasons. With there only being sort of 2 game weeks left in the season now, it's a bit harder for me to kind of pick a player that I kind of say, pick them just for this weekend and then sell them, because we're at the end of the season now. So I'm still going to sort of pick players I think should do well just for this weekend. And the first one I want to show you is Kevin De Bruyne, who I have just added to my portfolio. And I'm going to show you why just by looking at his graph here. There's been a decline. And I think with the Euros coming soon, this is the last week where if you buy any stocks now, you don't get the in-play rewards for the Euros, because the Euros are just over a month away. So I think there's an opportunity here where I think people aren't buying stocks for the Euros. They're waiting for the Euros to come, or a week before the Euros, so they can buy stocks then and get in-play rewards during the Euros. I think it's a bit more of a sensible idea to buy stocks now before that kind of hype before the Euros, and possibly sell just before the Euros, or keep him during the Euros. Don't get any of the in-play rewards, but get potential team of the weeks and team of the months. So if we look at De Bruyne's price, he's kind of established that this is kind of where he can be. This is where he can kind of hold. He had a bit of a period here, or he held. Then his price has come down. I think this is because it's not looking like he's going to make team of the season. There's other midfielders that have kind of usurped him, and it looks like he won't get team of the season now. And I think that, combined with a bit of Pep roulette at Man City, not knowing if he's going to play every week, getting knocked out of the Champions League, that's reduced his minutes. I think all of that has factored into a bit of a decline for De Bruyne. But with him being a team of the season, team of the month, and with Man City going for the title, I think this is now a little... I think this could be the lull. This could be the bottom before another surge before the Euros. So I bought 10 of his stocks in anticipation that come the Euros, everyone's going to go, who are the players that I know? De Bruyne's one of those names that you know. Everyone should know him, should be at in Belgium's team. So I just think there's a nice little chance here for De Bruyne ahead of the Euros to come back up. And then I could possibly sell him sort of around here before the Euros. Or if he's not quite gone up as much as I'd like, hold him during the Euros for team of the weeks and team of the seasons. Yes, I'm not going to get any in-plays, but the gamble I'm making is by going for players now before the Euros, so that you kind of got... You're taking advantage that no one's buying players for the Euros yet. Come next week, that's your first week where you're going to scrape some in-play rewards from the Euros. Give it another week, I think it's going to gradually increase and increase. And if we just look at this week's fixtures, Man City are going for the Premier League and they're playing Fulham. Fulham, nothing to play for this season now. Man City going for the title. The likes of De Bruyne. My other pick this week is Foden. Then, it's not a subtle pick this week. It's not last week was Gibbs White at Nottingham Forest, which was a bit of a left field pick. Foden's a bit more of a conventional pick, should be a safer pick. And again, I think with Foden, you've got the Man City end of the season to claim in-play rewards for if you go for him now. His price has been coming down for similar reasons to Kevin De Bruyne. Them getting knocked out of the Champions League was a big thing. He's still on course to get team of the season. He's more likely to get a team of the season finish, but his price has been coming down. But when the Euros comes around, I think everyone will be thinking, which stocks can I get for? Who's a nice one to cover England? Foden should be a good England pick for the Euros. So with his price having dropped a little bit, I think there's a great chance for you to capitalize on this weekend's fixtures, next weekend's fixtures, and then get him at a price that's cheaper before everyone gets in for the Euros. It's a bit of a risky strategy, but that's why I went for De Bruyne this week and not in a few weeks' time before the Euros. That's why I would recommend looking at Foden now rather than the Euros, when if he has a good couple of weeks for Man City towards the end of the season, we could see his price come back up to about here. This is where he's kind of established a bit of price activity. So this is kind of where realistically we can expect him to go. Then with the Euros, with England, who knows what he's going to do. So what I'm kind of suggesting is You buy players now and sell them before the Euros because that's when everybody's going to be wanting to buy them. It's a risky strategy that I'm kind of thinking about, but that's why I'm picking Foden this week, because he's also got Manchester City at the weekend. The other good fixtures, I think, are Newcastle and Bournemouth. Not Bournemouth, Brighton. I've been confused by the way I've written it on screen. B-ton. It's Brighton. Newcastle, Brighton. Brighton, another team with little to play for now, and Newcastle really going for those European places. So, Isaac, Guimaraes, Gordon, you've got your three best attackers at Newcastle are all on StocksFC. So, they're good long-term holds. They're good for the remainder of the season. So, if you're wanting a short-term pick, Newcastle's where I'd go. Nottingham Forest and Chelsea is another interesting fixture, I think, this week. From both teams. I think Chelsea possibly picking up a bit of form. Maybe you want to capitalize on some short-term picks like Gallagher, like Jackson. And then with Forest, still fighting for survival and with a bit of momentum now. So Chris Wood, Gibbs White, they're the kind of two from each team I think about for the last 2 weeks of the season. Spurs v Burnley, I think, could be an interesting fixture. Spurs have been in terrible form, but they surely need to turn it around. And with their terrible form, the prices of their stocks have gone down. So you could possibly think about that. You could possibly gamble at Burnley. Maybe they, battling for survival, can keep piling the misery on Spurs. Possibly Burnley. So I think that's another fixture, a bit like the Forest-Chelsea fixture, where there could be good opportunities for both those teams. You could easily see someone like Son getting 2 goals, getting 3 goals, lots of in-plays, team of the week, pushing for team of the season. Or you could see Burnley continuing Spurs' misery. So that's an interesting fixture. And then I think Wolves v Palace is my last fixture to kind of, if you're thinking about short-term picks, possibly going for those Palace attackers, Olise and Eze. Maybe you want to go for the IPO on the Mateta from Crystal Palace this week. They do have a good fixture against Wolves, so it is a good chance for you to get some last returns from these players with the last 2 game weeks of the season, and then see what happens in the summer. Do they move, or are they long-term holds for Palace next season? So those are the 5 fixtures that I think possibly you want to look at this weekend if you're thinking short-term gains. Foden's my kind of pick, and De Bruyne if you're thinking picks before the Euro hype. Those are my picks. Let me know in the comments what you think. Follow me on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, and let me know your thoughts there as well, people. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching this video. Peace.